Okay, just as we did the last video, I'm going to be doing this one the same way. There's lots of notes in the book, and I'm going to flip the camera around so you can see the notes that I have taken that I thought was worthy. This starts on page 62, the developing changes in sense of self, and we have three distinct areas: childhood, early adolescent, and then late adolescent, where there are changes. This is based on Erik Erikson's 8 stages of psychosocial development. You will find, I've listed his 8 steps, but you'll find descriptions of them on page 62. You might just read down through there and be familiar with that material. It's going to help you in many facets, not just for this class, but also as far as being able to identify students and their needs a little bit better. So let's look at the childhood stage right now. On page 63, I have that first line highlighted. Elementary school children tend to think of themselves in terms of concrete, easily observable characteristics and behaviors, their age, sex, favorite activities, and so on. Children may also classify themselves as belonging to one or another racial or ethnic group. They'll know which one. Most young children have a generally positive sense of the self. Sometimes they believe they're more capable than they really are, and that they can easily overcome initial failures. I love the childhood personality because there seems to be no fears. Think about walking into a preschool class either at your church or at a school or somewhere, and think about, maybe it's even nieces and nephews, it may be even your children. Think about how relaxed they are. They get up and dance, they get up and sing, they get up and act. They are comedians, and they don't have to be good at any of it, but they are just so content in knowing who they are and comfortable with who they are. So to be that again, it seems like the older we get, that begins to go away. So then we look at early adolescence. As students reach adolescence and gain greater capabilities for abstract thought, they increasingly think of themselves in terms of general, fairly stable traits. The academic achievement, or I might add modesty, is fairly typical. Social acceptance and physical appearance are far more important to many young adolescents than academic competence. Actually, sometimes it's not cool to be smart. Students' self-concepts and self-esteem often drop as they make the transition from elementary school to middle school or junior high, with the drop being more pronounced for girls. And then many boys and girls think of themselves as being somewhat less attractive once they reach adolescence. It's those difficult ages where nothing seems to be growing at the same pace. There's all of this stuff on your face, is acne and craters, as my kids have called it from time to time. A lot of hormonal things going on. Changes in the school environment, including disrupted friendships, more superficial teachers, student relationships, and more rigorous academic standards probably also have a negative impact. The fun stuff is over if it hadn't already been over. It's over by the time you get to middle school. A lot of the times it's more of read the chapters and do the questions at the end. First, students become more cognitively able to reflect on how others might see them. They may initially go to extremes, thinking that in any social situation, everyone else's attention is focused squarely on them. That's an imaginary audience, and I want you to stop and go look at that video that I've attached. Because they believe themselves to be the center of attention, young teenagers, especially girls, are often preoccupied with their physical appearance and can be quite self-critical. Boy, talking about wanting to get somewhere on time anymore, that ceases to happen. With 2 teenage girls myself, I know what I'm talking about. A lot of time is spent on everything being just perfect, and I'm using quotation marks around perfect. Young teenagers often believe they are completely unlike anyone else. They may think that no one else, and certainly not parents and teachers, has ever experienced the intensity of emotions they feel about goals or unhappy love affairs. Some have a sense of invulnerability and immorality, believing themselves immune to the normal dangers of life. Thus, they may take foolish risks, such as experimenting with drugs and alcohol, having unprotected sexual intercourse, and driving at high speeds. That adolescent that adolescents are apt to take risk even when they don't believe themselves to be invulnerable for reasons you can discover in the Applying Brain Research feature. This is a difficult age, this early adolescence. It seems like the crazier things they can do, the better they like it. All right, I'll flip on over to page 64. And once again, I'll let you see my book where I've highlighted. The majority of older adolescents recover sufficiently from the double whammy of puberty and a changing school social environment to enjoy positive self-concepts and overall mental health. Older teenagers increasingly reflect on their own characteristics and abilities and begin to struggle with seemingly inconsistencies in their self-perceptions. Eventually, perhaps around 11th grade, most students integrate their various self-perceptions into a complex, multifaceted sense of self that reconciles apparent contradictions. For instance, recognizing that their inconsistent behaviors on different occasions mean they are flexible. This maturation is the very reason that I think I could teach high school. That's one grade I've never taught other than teaching the high schoolers that come here for dual enrollment. But I remember the middle school hormonal ages. Oh my goodness. Someone, I think, at the first semester asked me what grade I love to teach the most in one of the classes. And I said, I really don't have a pick. I do have a pick that I'm not sure I could go back to the middle school ages. And older adolescents pull their numerous parts of themselves together. Many of them begin to form a general sense of identity. They begin to know who they are. They may initially take on temporary identities, aligning themselves with a particular peer group, insisting on a certain mode of dress or continually changing their photo and self-description on Facebook. You may be there right now. Erik Erikson proposed that most people achieve an overall sense of identity by the end of adolescence. In contrast, many contemporary developmental theorists believe that identity formation continues to be a work in progress well into adulthood. I'd like for you to stop the video. Tell me, have you found your identity? Are you comfortable in your own skin? If so, what percent of the time would you guess? No one's going to read this. No one's going to read it but me. Just curious. All right, I'm waiting to hear from you.